Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt. We're back again, another post game podcast. I'd kind of teased that maybe I would do it after the Lehigh game. Didn't really work with it being a middle of the day game and uh, not necessarily worth it after one game as well. And so held off, do it here. This way, we got two games to kind of talk about, a couple more, cupcakes or easy wins. And then we can preview Feast Week. We can preview the Bahamas, the battle for Atlantis for the Tar Heels and stuff. So let's jump in. Before we do that, I just want to thank again everybody for their support. If you are not subscribed, I ask, kind of just that you subscribe and share it with your friends, family, Tar Heel Nation. And so we can unite Tar Heel Nation. This looks like it's going to be, I mean, they're always fun, right? We like to cheer on the Tar Heels, but this just looks like it's going to be a fun team to be easy to enjoy watching play again. We've it's hard to say, but it's kind of been at least a year. Obviously, the tournament run in a couple years ago was fun, but that season even was not necessarily fun. This looks like it's going to be a fun team to watch. So, thanks for supporting the podcast. Again, just ask that you subscribe wherever you listen or watch the podcast. And big shout out again to you guys. I'd kind of said after last season, I think it was, um, that my goal for 23 here, and maybe even this basketball season, I don't know, I didn't really put parameters on it, but my goal was to break 500 subscribers on YouTube. And just today, just tonight, really, I was looking at it and we were at 502 on YouTube. So nobody go and unsubscribe from YouTube now. We've broken 500. Shout out to you guys, appreciate it. And let's keep it rolling. Let's go with Tar Heels. So we're gonna jump in. We got 300 in here. Says what's up. We got JB2 in here. Good to see you. Good to have you here live. And like I always say, subscribe on YouTube and hit that bell so you know when I go live, because whoever knows. Sometimes I can kind of. I did tweet out. I say tweet. I guess it's X, but I'm always going to say tweet. Tweeted out that I was going to go live after this game, just because I'm able to. Friday night, all that good stuff. My kids are in bed, so we got the Nintendo nerd here. Glad to have you guys here. We're gonna first jump into the Lehigh game. We're not gonna talk too much about these games. Lehigh, they did stick around again, kind of like Radford in the first one, stuck around more than kind of what they should have. Um, maybe it's the guys getting used to playing with one another. Maybe it's just not the energy of a big time game yet. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's anything to be too worried about. We get a 90-68 win in the end. We pulled away in the second half. Our defense kind of stepped it up. Didn't shoot the ball well, 5 for 17 from 3. Um, Again, so far we've kind of the floor is definitely more space than last year. So we have that threat of shooters, Cormac, Paxson. They were sagging off of Elliott in this game a little bit. But even in that one, I know the first one he kind of didn't shoot. They were sagging, and they sagged more. He dribbled in once and took a 2-pointer. But even if you can hit those long twos, it's going to space the floor more. Um, but big game for Baycott, 22 and 20, his third 2020 game against Lehigh. 70th or whatever it is, double double. 22 for RJ in that one. He was 3 for 16. He actually shot the same percentage as Baycott. They were both 8 for 14 from the field. So that's pretty good. 14 from Ingram. He continues to kind of just fill up everything. 7 rebounds. Everything else is a little bit short from him. 1 assist, 1 block. But again, kind of does a little bit of everything there. Cormac was off. Shot 2 for 7, 0 for 3 in this game. Elliott was over 3 from 3 in this game. Interesting one is Wojcik only played 12 minutes. Elliott's getting those minutes. Seth Tremble played 19 minutes in this game. And then it was actually, Zayden High had 12, Withers had 13, and it was Washington that was under 9. And I don't want to get into it too soon. I don't have maybe I do have the minutes here. We'll see if it updates. I haven't got the box score from tonight yet, so I don't have minutes here. ESPN doesn't have the minutes yet up either, but Washington had 11 points, hit a couple of threes tonight, and kind of got more of the minutes tonight. feel like High was kind of the guy left out tonight. Withers had a little bit more minutes than High did. Um, and so maybe it's going to be kind of a matchup thing. Um, we'll kind of see who's the odd man out, kind of with those big guys. Obviously, we know it's Elliott coming in, at point guard. Seth has been getting some consistent minutes. Um, and that's kind of what our wing guys are. Obviously Ingram goes between the 3 and the 4. But then we got, Wojcik and Cormac Ryan in there. And then for the big guys, obviously it's Withers, it's High, Washington all coming off the bench, mixing in with Baycott and Ingram down low as well. Uh, but yeah, good win. Again, big game for Baycott. He's been nailing his free throws, and we just kind of took control of that game. And like I said, I don't. Let me refresh one more time here. I don't have the official or okay, but they do have the box score now up on Go Heels. I'll pull that up real quick here. But yeah, big win tonight. Tonight was a great one because we jumped on them early. It was like what 29-6 or 29-9, something like that early. Uh, but then there was a little bit of a lull in there. Just because we got some, I think we went on what a 17-0 run or something like that in the first half. And then they kind of made a little bit of a run, got it, I don't know what, down to 13 or something like that at one point. And then we started off the second half, and it was the defensive intensity, and again, Lehigh. That's kind of what changed it in the second half as well. Is the defensive, but they went the first 9.5 minutes of the second half without even scoring a point. So obviously that opened the game up, and then it was over. We were not shooting well again. JB2 says that as well. Why are we shooting so poorly? Um, I don't know. I think it's just a thing of it's like Michigan State when the way they've started their season. I think some of it is just ball not going in the hoop. I don't think we're taking bad shots or forced shots or anything like that. I think this tonight there was a couple. Who was it? Cormac airballed one. Harrison Ingram had one in the corner that airballed. I think he kind of rushed that one, but really we're not taking bad shots. It's just they weren't going in. I know. Um, RJ Davis is 1 for 7 from three tonight. Ingram was 1 for 4. Cormac was 0 for 4. Wojcik was 0 for 1. But really, Jalen Washington was 2 for 2. So Tremble hit his. Uh, Baycott actually took two and hit one of them tonight. So, as a team, definitely we shot poorly. We were 6 for 21 from three. But again, I don't think it's bad shots. I think it's more the ball just not going in at this point. And that can change in a hurry. I think, somebody gets hot, it can even be contagious. Maybe seeing Jalen hit and Seth hit and Baycott hit one, maybe other guys will get that confidence and it'll kind of go from there. All right, I got the box score pulled up now. I was kind of interested in minutes. So Paxton Wojcik got 19 in this game. Um, but really, we have those five guys, and then we had, at least 5 or 6 off the bench here. Let me count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 guys, 10 minutes. So Zayden Hyde still got 10 minutes of this game. And obviously, we have to talk about that. We've given Hubert a hard time about playing time and playing the bench, and it looks like he's committed to it this year. Obviously, they've been easier games to start off with. That'll change this upcoming week, and we'll get into that in here in a couple minutes. But uh, it looks like he's committed. He's been subbing early. Washington and Elliott were the first two off the bench tonight, so Baycott got a rest there. And tonight, even looking at it, Baycott played 25 minutes. Again, this was a pretty bad blowout. Especially once they didn't score for the first 9 minutes in the second half, we really opened it up, and we're not gonna kill guys. We got a week with 3 games in 3 days coming up, and so I'm sure there was a certain effort of, as long as we can get them some rest and stuff like that. But yeah, Baycott 25 minutes, Harrison 26, RJ, like I said, did not shoot well, 3 for 11 overall, 1 for 7 from three. Did have 4 assists though, so that's good to see him be able to do things even when he's not hitting. But he played 28 minutes, and then Cormac 21. He was 0 for 4. Wojcik 19, and then Seth was 16. Elliott actually had 22. Jalen 13. Withers 16, and then Zayden 10. So it was also good to see kind of the scoring. Obviously, Seth Trumbull had that huge dunk. Jalen Washington hit a couple of threes. Withers had a couple of monstrous blocks. Here, he actually got credit for three of them, but two of them just kind of vicious blocks. Ingram actually led us in rebounding with 9. Armando just had 7. A couple blocks from him as well. And again, not much to talk about in this game outside of, we blew them out. But again, yeah, like you guys are kind of saying in the chat, is the shooting. And again, right now we have the respect, even though that we're not hitting it. It's opening up stuff. People are driving. I tweeted out early in the game, like, I like how people are attacking the rim. Seth Trumbull was getting to the rim. Elliot Cadeau was getting to the rim. Cormac Ryan was getting in there. He had a layup. Ingram was attacking. Obviously, we're dumping it into Baycott. But yeah, if we keep this stretch going and where we don't hit the threes, they're going to start sagging off and make us prove it, make us hit those shots. And hopefully, if they're that wide open, Cormac isn't going to go 0 for 4. RJ isn't going to go 1 for 7. Those kind of things. But Nintendo Nerd says, I am concerned about our shooting. Cormac hasn't shot well in any of the 3 games, which is true. I mean, the first game he had what, 3? Uh, I don't want to say in a row, but I know he had at least 3 threes in that game. But yeah, he's definitely been off. And again, I don't think it's been necessarily poor shooting or poor short shot selection, I should say. But for whatever reason, they're not going in. And so 300 says, mark his words, in Atlantis, our shooting will be there. Just watch. He says they're waiting for the big games. These are the cupcakes. And that's the thing. He's like, you don't know, you know, is it just kind of different because the atmosphere isn't, it's the hyped up game and all that, but you got to hit in these games just like you do those. We've said that last couple of years as well. You can't just show up for the big games. You can't just show up for Duke. You got to show up every night, especially wearing that Carolina Tar Heel jersey, because you're going to get everybody's best shot. Nintendo Nerd says, I'm hoping that these 3 games are the roughest our shooting all season. That will light it up. I mean, we're going to have some bad. I mean, that's the thing with threes, right? That's why, Dean Smith and Roy Williams didn't want to rely on it. The saying is, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. But yeah, I mean, we are going to rely on it more than we have. And so it can't be the thing we depend on, but obviously we got to keep people honest. 300 says they're veterans. They'll figure it out. No worries. JB2 is like, I hope so. I hope you're right. And Nintendo Nerd says, yeah, I don't have a lot of hope instilled in me right now. I go back to, this is a fun team to watch. We've been getting out on the break this game. Again, yes, obviously we got to hit the threes, but I mean, there's just more to it, to this team than, again, last year or even the year before. It's not the step back threes. It's not the isolation threes. It's not the poor shot selection. It's, again, just a lot more fun to watch this team. And again, I think our shot selection has been pretty good. I said after the Radford game, it's the defense I'm worried about. Somebody already, I think it was in here, I saw, maybe it was a different chat I was looking at, but Cadeau has to get better at defense. And I think our one-on-one defense, our just straight up ball defense, has to get better. But overall, I think our team defense has actually been good. Withers coming over and blocking shots, Baycott getting a couple. Um, the commentators even mentioned, we've been switching everything. It's throwing them off. It's not going to throw everybody off, but I do think that's kind of a tool to have. I know Baycott got switched up on their point guard tonight, and I wouldn't say he locked him up, but it didn't let him just blow by him and get to the rim. So um, there's some, I don't want to say hope from there. And again, them going 9.5 minutes without scoring to start the second half, I don't know if that's all on our defense, but it's part of it. And so again, to me, that gives me the confidence. And then at some point, these shots are going to get knocked down. I just feel like they are. I'm not as worried, because then again, it's not the bad shots we've been taking. Nintendo thinks we should start Withers. He's not bringing much offense, but he brings better defense and intensity than Paxton. Obviously, there's been talk about Paxton, especially after only playing 12 minutes against Lehigh as well. But he did get hurt in that shoot around before Lehigh. Maybe that's why they didn't play him as much, just to make sure he's okay. Who knows? People have said Elliott should start over him. He's not giving us enough, but do we like to have Elliott coming off the bench? I wouldn't say with the second team. He's not, just playing with the second team, but kind of having that come off the bench. I've always kind of said I don't really care who starts. It's more about who's playing the minutes, and Elliott's playing the minutes. He played again, even though Paxton had more tonight. Elliott played more than him. 22 for Elliott and 19 for Paxton. Um, and so, yeah, that's more what I'm looking at is who's in there at the end, who's playing the minutes. So Baycott made more threes than Cormac. Interesting stat, but not necessarily a good one. Kristen, been here the whole time. Having to put down a 14-month-old to bed restricts me from being able to interact much. I hear you, man. Luckily, my kids are in bed already tonight. That's why I'm here. But I feel you. We've been there. Hey, sometimes it's not even any better. I got a 5 and 6 year old, and sometimes that's not even sometimes. A lot of times that's tiring. So I hear you, man. I appreciate you being here, and any put that you can give. We'd like to have it. So Grant says start Elliott to give him the confidence he needs. Nintendo Nerd says this team is definitely fun to watch. I agree with that. So, we're not going to have the starting lineup switch it up. Who should be in there for Paxton yet? Let's let this week go. But it is time to, I think, transfer or to look ahead, focus our eyes onto Feast Week, Thanksgiving week, the Bahamas, battle for Atlantis. Tar Heels got some big time games coming up, and so starts on Wednesday. Again, I say Feast Week. We're gonna obviously focus on the Tar Heels and their schedule, but starts off on Wednesday, noon Eastern tip against UNI. Let's see. It does give us a station, ESPN. Um, Again, obviously from Bahamas. If you know the Battle for Atlantis, it's those ballroom gyms they set up that are pretty dark. Kind of gives it a cool look, I think. I feel like in the past, there's been some trouble with, Roy always got mad with the stickers on the floor and it would get slippery and whatever. I feel like there's been some condensation problems with these gyms. I think it would be pretty cool and intimate setting to go to, if I could ever make it in person. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but it's fun. I like to have these day games. Again, not as easy for me to watch because my kids are awake and running around and let's go outside or let's do this or let's do that and stuff. And you know, it's right over lunchtime for them, so we got to feed them as the game's going on. So I can't always pay as much attention, but I do like having the day games. And then if we win, we'll play at the same time. It'll be a noon Eastern tip against either Villanova or Texas Tech. Villanova had been struggling a little bit, dropped a game or two, I don't remember, but played Maryland tonight. And I just saw Maryland had 19 points with 8.5 minutes left or something like that. So it was like 50-19. They're going to blow out Maryland, but I would assume Villanova's going to win this, but they have had some struggles. Texas Tech, maybe, new coach, but have been known for their defense. Maybe they could shut them down a little bit, but if they win, they play the winner of that game at noon Eastern. If they lose, they play at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, obviously against the loser of that game. So either Villanova or Texas Tech in the second game. But we do have to worry about Northern Iowa first. Of course, I think it's a game we should win, but it is, I feel like, a step up in competition. I haven't seen any of the scores for Northern Iowa. I don't know how they're doing this season or anything like that. I don't think it even says what their record is. Yeah, I don't go at anything on Northern Iowa, so I don't know. I know Ben Jacobson's still their coach. That is about it. But again, I think it's a team we should win. But I do think it's a step up from Riverside, Lehigh, and Radford. So we do need to be ready for that. And then it is 24-hour at least uh, turnaround before our second game, and again, that one kind of steps it up, I think, another level to get to a Power Five team against either Villanova, who then will be coming off of two-game win streak if that's the case, or Texas Tech. I believe Kerwin Walton is still on Texas Tech. I don't know that he's getting any minutes or putting up any stats or anything like that, but I think he's still on the roster, as far as I know, anyway. So that would be kind of an interesting, um, I don't know, fact about that game. Uh, but yeah, again, I hate it. Obviously, Thanksgiving, if we win, it's going to be again right kind of at eating time on Thanksgiving Day, and probably not going to be able to even watch that game live. We're going over to friends for Thanksgiving, and so I don't really want to watch it in that setting anyway. Um, and so probably we'll watch that on a DVR later when I can give it more attention. But it is what it is, I guess. Hopefully, I can stay away from seeing the score and all that good stuff. But good test for us here in this. After we play Villanova or Texas Tech again, I would expect that we get a test from them, but I would hope that if we play our game, we beat either of those. Remember, this is the week where we kind of lost four in a row last year, ending with that four overtime game against Alabama out in Portland. Um, over Thanksgiving, and then following that up with the PK8. No, maybe it was all PK80 or three of them, two of them, three of them were at the PK80, whatever it is. But we finish up that on Friday with either Arkansas, Memphis, Michigan, or Stanford. Stanford hasn't showed a ton this year. Obviously they have Jared Haas that gives a little wrinkle to it. Michigan just looked really good the other night. I think they then followed up with a loss today. Maybe did I see? Someone can check that for me. Memphis, I think, is a solid team. Arkansas, I would have predicted would have win, but as somebody just said in this chat, and I saw earlier, yeah, Christian UNCG upset Arkansas. So for our quality quad games, if we play them, I mean, I think they're still going to be quad one. I mean, really, that's all that matters. If it's quad one, they just need to be ranked in that top. And being an SEC, you would hope they would kind of get back up in there, even with dropping this game. But um, you know, Uh, I would have predicted kind of to see Arkansas in the final if we can make it there, but with them getting upset there, I don't know, maybe Memphis, Michigan. Uh, I think I saw somebody tweet out like it's going to be a Michigan UNC championship because we're destined to play them every year. We played them in the Jordan Brand Classic or whatever it was last year, and so this year this is how it would be our way to play them. So yeah, we'll see. But again, a good test for us. I think three games in 3 days. But of course, everybody's doing that. Um, but up in the contest or the competition here, and we will need to knock down those threes. We're gonna have to be a more complete team in those games, and take the intensity. Again, in these blowouts, there's gonna be times where the intensity's not up. We drop off, they make a little run or whatever. I think our guys handled these pretty well in the last couple of years. We were not, and that was part of Hubert not playing the bench. We never got those blowout wins, and so we never got the guys minutes early in the season. Um, we've done a better job of that. So I think we're more focused. Armando I think is more focused than ever. Hopefully, other guys are following right behind him in that aspect. So Nintendo Nerd says Arkansas is in the SEC, which the net loves. They aren't dropping much. Um, yeah, we had the Iowa State loss last year, the Michigan loss. Yeah, Michigan just lost to Long Beach. There, I knew they lost somebody. Thank you, 300. Um, a lot of upsets already. Yeah, and that's I again I don't remember where I put it if it was on Twitter or just talking to somebody, but I feel like this year is not going to have just one dominant team. Kansas looked suspect against Kentucky when they played in the Champions Classic. I know they got the win, but everybody's kind of got their flaws, and so that means it's wide open for somebody. So um, if we can be consistent and we can work our way up the rankings. I know we kind of dropped one this last week, and I don't really care about rankings this time of year anyway. But if we can take care of business here in these big games, we can easily move up quite a bit here over Feast Week, and then we got Tennessee, we got UConn coming up, and we got plenty of games, and yeah, Nintendo says that here as well. We've got plenty of opportunities for quad one wins, regardless. It's a matter of taking care of business, and that's what I was going to say. Is now we have to get those quad one wins. We have to get those quality wins, and take care of business, and do what we expect a Carolina team to do. But like I said at the beginning, this is just such a fun team to watch. Having a lot more fun this year than again this time last year, where we were kind of in the midst of a four-game losing streak and going from preseason number one to unranked. And I don't think we ever got ranked again, did we? I don't know why we would have. We obviously really struggled. We don't want to jump into that. But like I said, I don't want to jump into who should be starting either. I don't care who starts. It's about who's getting the minutes and stuff like that. So maybe after this week, we'll kind of talk about that. Um, Looking ahead to the schedule as far as podcast concerns, let's see. We play Tennessee on that Wednesday, and actually, I leave out the night of the Tennessee game. That one's going to be a tough one for me to watch, just because we're going to be traveling that day and I'm gone for a week. So I'm going to have to try to get a podcast out after the Champions Classic and preview kind of Tennessee. And then we go right into ACC play with Florida State on December 2. I think I get back on December 6th. Golly, that means I missed 3 games here and 3 decent games. Tennessee, Florida State was getting clobbered by Florida tonight, so we better not lose to them on next Saturday, and then the following Tuesday is UConn. Not a great week to be gone, but blame my wife for that. She planned this trip, but I will find a way to watch those games, and obviously we'll have a podcast kind of in between the UConn game and the Kentucky game. Yeah, there's another one coming up, Kentucky, and so um, yeah, we'll figure stuff out here, but big time games coming up. We'll see how we react and how we respond to all of that. Um, Been a great podcast, post game podcast here, looking back at the Lehigh and Riverside games. Again, appreciate everybody. 300 JB2 Christian, Nintendo Nerd. I think I'm missing somebody else that was in here. Appreciate you. Grant was in here. Um, Thanks for jumping on. Again, if you're listening to this later, appreciate you listening, supporting the podcast, and hit me up on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at All Tar Heel Dan. Talk about all this stuff and keep it going in between podcasts as well. I've been doing the score predictions contest on Twitter before each game. Be looking for that. I've been putting up more highlights on YouTube. I think that's some of what helped us kind of break the 500 is maybe breaking up podcasts with some highlights. So hopefully the YouTube channel is going strong still. But again, I appreciate you guys being here live. I appreciate you listening to it later. Just make sure you're subscribed. And hey, as you're eating Thanksgiving, share about the podcast. Hey, are you subscribed? Or even, like if they're not going to listen or whatever, help them subscribe. Help us get that subscriber count up. Um, it just makes me feel good. But no, really, let's get ready for Feast Week. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and let's keep racking up those wins, as the Nintendo Nerd says. I will see you guys after Thanksgiving weekend, and we will podcast again before the Tennessee game. But that's all I got for you guys tonight. Until then, go Heels.